I remember it so clearly. I grew up in a little town northwest of Greenland called Aasiaat, with approximately 3,500 people. It was winter, so we had winter dark, which means we only have the daylight for like 3 to 5 hours per day. One night, I went to bed and began to read some comics, and not long enough, I fell asleep. I woke up in the middle of the night, feeling the urge to go to the bathroom. I sat up from my bed, and as soon as I tried to stand up, I heard two people whispering outside of my door. I thought it was odd. Well, you see, it was only me and my mother who are in the house. And I knew my mother wouldn't have guests over, as it was very late. It's 2 in the morning. I assumed my mother had already gone to bed, because she has to wake up early in the morning to go to work. I began to try to listen what the people outside of my door were saying. Suddenly, I heard one of them say, "Shall we go and get him now?" It scared me a lot when I heard them say this. It was not normal in our community for people breaking into houses to steal, because there's no such thing in our community. I put myself in bed as fast as I could and began to praying to God for protection. Because our elders always told us, if we begin to be scared, we should pray for God for protection. I stopped hearing the whispering outside and fell asleep again right after my prayer. Obviously, I woke up again that night. I remember that I heard someone talking outside of my door when I first woke up. I tried to listen to see if there's still someone outside, but I couldn't hear anything. I stand up so I can go to the toilet, and as soon as I stand up, I begin to hear them again saying the same words. "Shall we go and get him?" They repeat the question to each other, like they can't decide what they'll do or who's going to be the first one to come in. I began to be very scared and crumpled to the corner of my bed. I was so scared that I couldn't do anything or scream. The only thing I could do is move my eyes and breathe. I began to wait for what is about to happen. I was looking at the door and nothing else. The only thing I could think of is what is going to be happen to me when they get me. I was so scared I couldn't find out to pray. Well, I tried, I just couldn't do it. Suddenly the door handle began to move very slowly. The door opened slightly around 50 centimeters. I was so scared that I began to have a hard time to breathe. I looked down and saw two hands holding the corner of the door. I can clearly see the bones in the hands. Very slowly, an old woman's head began to show up. She doesn't have any eyes. They're all black, and I can see some of her skull bones. Not long enough, two hands showed up next to her, and an old man showed up, just like the old woman. He doesn't have eyes. Some of his flesh are off, and even though they don't have eyes, I could feel that they are looking at me with their evil smile. They retreated the same way they showed up. I was relieved, thinking this shitty situation was over. But no, the door opens by itself totally. But there's no one out there. Only the dark hall. I still haven't moved because I was still scared. Out of the dark, two old people showed up and began to walk towards me. They are levitating like 10 centimeters from the floor while they're walking towards me. They were wearing old Inuit clothes. I was so scared that I couldn't move a thing, neither breathe. the old woman repeatedly telling me, "Don't be scared, we're here to get you. Don't be scared, we are here to get you." Slowly they approached me, repeating, "Don't be scared." Finally, they approached my bed. The old lady took my legs and began to pull me out of the bed. She dragged me until I fell out of my bed. I was paralyzed. I couldn't move a thing or scream. And believe me, I tried. I passed out for a while and woke up while they're still dragging me on the floor. They're so close to get me out of the house. I could see that they are not far away from the door. Slowly we approached the door. Suddenly, I begin to hear my mother has woken up and walked towards her door. As soon as she took the door handle, the two people disappeared just like smoke, and my legs fall from the air to the floor. My mother opens her door and looks at me saying, "What are you doing out here in the dark? Do you have any idea what time it is? Go to bed now. We have to wake up early in the morning. Go to bed now." I tried to tell her what just happened, but she denied to believe my story and tells me that it was just a dream. Couple of weeks later, my mother's cousin came to visit us. She must have heard my encounter from my mother, so she tries to make me tell what happened. I didn't really want to tell what happened, because what would be the point if I tell the story when they don't believe me? While she tries to force me to tell what was happened, the lights above the table begin to flicker on and off and begin to swing by themselves. They swing so hard that they hit each other and break. My mother and her cousin are looking at each other, scared. Nobody said anything or moved for a while. My mother's cousin told my mother that she knows a medium healer that can remove ghosts or spirits, and gave her the number. Next day, my mother called the medium healer. While she was on the phone, my mother looked at me as if she was convinced or something. She gave me the phone, not long enough after talking to the medium healer, and said to me that the medium healer wants to talk to me and explain about my encounter. Before she hands the phone, my mother plugs the microphone and whispered to me, "Have you told anyone about your encounter?" I answered no, because why should I tell someone about the encounter when my mother doesn't believe me? When I said that I didn't tell anybody about my encounter, my mother replied, "He told me the exact same story that you told me and explained me why it has happened. He wants to explain to you why it happened." I took the phone and he immediately began to tell me why it happened. He told me that our town was summer camping place 250 years ago, before it was claimed as a town. And one summer, an old couple has lost their grandchild, and few days after, they died. Those two old couples' spirits thought I was their grandchild, and because they thought I was their grandchild, they wanted me back so they can rest in peace. And if they had dragged me out, I would have died. At least, he told me that he has sent the old couple home where they belong. Hello everybody, I hope you liked the story. Subscribe and put the bell button so you can be notified every time I put some video. You can also follow me on Instagram. There I will post when I'm going to put a new video on this YouTube channel. Subscribe and put the bell note on, so you can always know when I'm going to put some new video or story. You can also DM me on Instagram if you have any stories that you want me to tell about. You can also put a comment under the comment section below. I would love to see your comments about how you think about the story. And have a good night.